Hello everybody, Daniella and Rick here, and we are just finishing up actually day 2 of the imaging of a property that we are readying for the market. And while we wait for our photographer to arrive for this last portion, we were actually just talking about some interesting things relative to really readying and preparing a property for the market and the way that we do it. And we thought it might be interesting to share some of that information with you because there's a really distinct difference between listing a home and truly preparing it for the market. And in the space that we deal with, which is typically high-end custom homes, things that are interesting or unique or architecturally significant, water-oriented, things like that, there's always a story to the homes that we work with. And so when we take them on, it's not just the seller who's our client, it's actually the property. And so we take a very holistic approach, and we thought it would be interesting to share some of the details of that with you as we are literally here behind the scenes. This home is absolutely stunning. You can see a little bit. We can't reveal the address to you yet, but it will be on the market very, very soon. And it is totally gorgeous. And if I myself were planning on living in this particular neighborhood, which is a fabulous neighborhood, I would very seriously consider purchasing this home for myself because it is gorgeous.
I know you love it.
Yeah. So tell them a little bit about how we start. What does the first day look like? Not from photography standpoint, but literally day one we go in. What does that look like?
You know, we really try to pay great respect to the architect who was involved in designing, the builder who was involved in the execution. And we come in and we really try to understand what that is. We look at every detail. Danielle and I can spend 20 minutes in a home and probably tell you most of the material that was used and the expense of that material and the care that it was installed in. So we try to, the best of our ability, understand that and capture the stories of the people who, after all, live here, who had this as their vision. And then we carry that forward. And we believe that in marketing, stories matter. And we really try to capture a great story, the truthful story about a property, because if we're able to do that well, then buyers in the marketplace looking will connect. And we're able to show off the details and the structures and the elements of a house that just make you want to sit down and relax, and you can vision yourself there. And so I think that that's what we do day one that matters a lot.
Yeah. And for those of you who tune in, or if you watch this later, and if we've actually gone through this process, which it's quite conceivable that we have, if you are a seller or have been a seller client of one of ours, you will hear us say, day one, we're not bringing in a stack of papers. We're not sliding a pen across the desk to you. It's just not the way we do it. And there are all kinds of different ways that people work and different methods that they prefer. And for us, that's just not the way it is. We're very relationship oriented, because for us, the homes we work with, like we said, we have a relationship with the home and we have a relationship with the client. And that's just how we prefer to do things. And it makes it more enjoyable for us. And ultimately, we think it gets us to a much, much better result for our client. And so day one is just us coming in. You tell us if you like us, and we'll tell you if we like you. And if the answers are both yes, then we can move forward and do the rest of it and do all the fun stuff, which is all the paperwork. Not quite. But, getting past that and then really planning out. And we do so much planning in this process. We storyboard our video, and we really try and make that story come through all the pieces of the marketing for the home. We don't do a lot of print, but what we do print-wise are things that are really still, to be expected in our market and are still appreciated. So if we do, that's a strategic piece of marketing specifically tailored to that property. And then, of course, as I said, photos, videos, any kind of imaging, any sort of drone work. And as you'll notice in a lot of our videos, if you look us up on YouTube, the Hilton Head Life primarily for the time being, and if you go to some of our videos, you will see that we are in some combination or other, a lot of our videos. And as you mentioned, sort of paying homage and respect to the designer and the architect and those kinds of things. They have some really great insights that in a lot of cases they haven't revisited in a long time, but they're a big part of that story of the property. And so we get a chance to sit down with them and talk to them. And in a lot of cases, they actually appear in our videos, which is really neat. It's a very different element, and people really love it, and they really love it. They love coming back to something that they created that, once upon a time was their baby. And now, in most cases, it's being offered to the public for the very first time, and it's really exciting.
And then as we end a transaction, there's negotiations that happen. So a buyer comes and they get interested, and we become part of that conversation with the buyer about the house itself. And so we'll know the house so detailed, we'll know it so intimately that we're able to negotiate the finer points of the house that are outside of any other algorithm, like price per square foot or the value of a home site.
Yeah.
We're able to bring in the detail that was so carefully selected and constructed and bring that into a real value. We'll be able to know what the competition is to this house from a fine aspect, and then be able to compare that in a value sense to the buyer. And I think that that's where our sellers really see that all of the work that we've done has not been just piecemeal. It is a strategic plan that brings us to the highest price for that house at any given point and as fast as possible. And if we didn't do this part now up front, we wouldn't be able to do that. We would just be more interested in getting the contract signed and moving forward.
Yeah.
But you're right. I think that the best word to use is we are connected.
Absolutely. So we just thought it would be really interesting to share a little bit of the background, waving to some neighbors, share a little bit of the background and of what we do as we prepare a home for the market. As I said, we really try and sort of parse that story out and fill that out and carry that through all of our pieces, all of our marketing avenues, platforms, and all of that. And it's way too much to talk about here, but we do a lot. So if you ever want to know a little bit more detail about what we do and why we do it, because it's great to be able to talk about it, but it doesn't matter at all unless it's effective. And that's something that we are very proud to really hone continuously and evolve as the technology evolves and as the market evolves, and stay up with it and stay at least one step ahead. So guys, thanks for tuning in. Great to see some faces here that we know and some new ones. If you have any questions, as always, you can just reach out directly and look for this beautiful, beautiful home to come on the market very soon. Just want to show you a little peek of the courtyard. Oh, it's so pretty. Totally love this house. Guys, have a great day. Happy Sunday. Talk soon.
Enjoy your weekend.